For the collar, we would have two pieces like this and one piece of interfacing. So we need to attach the interfacing to one of the pieces. I like to press my hook first and then press on the interfacing. Okay, so now we will pin the collar right sides together. We need to stitch along the two short sides, the long one, the top, and both of the short sides. Okay. You can also baste. So we'll be stitching along the short sides, the top, and along the short sides. Okay, so now we're ready to make up the collar. The first thing we need to do is to stitch the top of the collar. We're going to open the collar, finger press it, and we're going to do a top stitch, close to the seam that we just made. About 1 millimeter away from the seam. I'm going to stitch along the short ends. The threads. Something on the other side. Some of the bulb and turn it right sides out. your corners out so they're nice and sharp. So now I'm going to press the collar before I finish up, before I attach it to the garment. I'm going to press it before I attach it to the garment. Okay, so now the collar has been pressed. It's nice and flat, and we're going to attach it to the shoot. So pin it to the shirt, match your notches, match the center. Going to stop pinning when you get to the corner of the collar. Okay, so then we're going to stitch, and we're going to stop stitching at that point. Let's do that now. Okay, so now we're ready to stitch the collar to the shoot. We're stitching from one end of the collar to the next. We just pinned it, so now we're ready to stitch. Remember to remove the pins as you go along. Okay, so at this point, from the button stand, the middle point of the button stand, where the facing folds over, you need to pin that to the front of the collar of the garment. Okay, so here we have the collar. We've already stitched it to the back of the shirt. Right, this is the facing. We're going to fold that over. So I have my mark to show me where I must fold it over. Fold it over, and then I'm going to pin and stitch. Okay, so we're ready to stitch. So first thing, stitch to the collar, where the collar was, where the collar stopped. Right, so you're going to stitch that little portion here. So you stitch down there, then you open it up and you stitch the collar to the facing, the front part of the collar to the facing where your stitching stops. Stitch the collar to the facing. Okay, so that's what it will look like. Right, so you have your stitching, that's the facing, that's the collar, that's the back of the collar. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. So remember, the first thing we will do is stitch to the point. We're going to stitch the facing to the point where we stopped our stitching with the collar. Stitch the folded facing. If you are using a commercial pattern, more than likely there will be markings for that. Okay, then you need to stitch the collar to the facing from where you stopped off. So this is what it will look like on the wrong side. Right, this is what it will look like on the wrong side, and then when we turn it over, let's reduce the bulk before we turn it over. Turn it over, poke out the corners. What it should look like after we have done that little lapel part. So the next part now is to close off the collar. We must close off the collar. So I like to fit all the raw edges on the inside, fold down, fold down on my seam allowance, and then I like to pin. So you pin, fold, pin, and then we're going to stitch along here with a top stitch. Okay, so we're going to stitch along here with a top stitch. Let's do that now. So So the top stitch is about 2 millimeters from the edge of the fold. Okay, so that's what the front of the collar will look like, right? It's the front of the collar, and then the back of the collar with the stitch from shoulder to shoulder. Okay, and that's it. That's how we attach a collar to a shirt.